The country's total debt stock has gone up significantly for the first quarter to hit 236 billion cedis. This was captured in the latest summary of economic and financial data released by the Bank of Ghana. Here's more from Aboagye-Wiafe.
According to the data, in just about 3 months, the total debt stock increased by 18 billion Ghana cedis since December 2019 to hit 236 billion Ghana cedis. However, tracking the debt position from March 2019 to March 2020, the total debt stock increased by 36.1 billion Ghana cedis. Joy businesses learned that this might not necessarily be as a result of fresh borrowing, but can be linked to the city's marginal depreciation during that period and some additional spending to help deal with the financial sector cleanup. The 236 billion Ghana cedis should translate to about 59.3% of the total value of the economy. Now, based on this debt, every Ghanaian should owe about 7,870 Ghana cedis if the debt is shared among a population size of 30 million. Some analysts have even argued that Ghanaians could be paying more in the form of taxes to help settle these debts. When it comes to the country's international reserves, the data put it at $10.2 billion, representing 4.8 months of import cover, slightly higher than our position with the same period last year. In the banking sector, there was a lot to smile about as loans that banks fear would go bad was improving. Deposits was picking up strongly, while loan advances was going up substantially.
All right, let's make sense of this. Joining me to discuss is Courage Boti, an economist with Data Bank Research. So let's begin with the latest debt numbers. We're hearing that we're at 236 billion cedis. What do we make of this, Courage?
Oh, thank you. Good afternoon to your listeners. So that's about 18.1 billion increment from end of year 2019. But if you put it in context or in perspective, you would understand that a very large part of it is actually anticipated. We borrowed 3 billion from the international market in February, and then at the prevailing exchange rate of the time, we're talking about that accounting for about 70% of the 18.1 billion addition to the debt stock since the start of the year. Now, that 3 billion was actually already part of the deficit financing program for the year, and so that chunk is actually anticipated. And over time, we have had also to do some domestic financing of the deficit, but then of course with the COVID coming in, some additional borrowings have to come in to help stem the tides and then steady the economy again. So the 18.1 addition, yes, looks alarming, but a chunk of it was anticipated. And then, of course, this time we couldn't, I'm talking of 2019 and 2020 so far, we couldn't talk about the impact of exchange rate because under the period we are considering, January to March, actually, we've seen a net appreciation of the cedi over that period. And so we couldn't be attributing part of it to depreciation of the cedi. But of course, a chunk of it is explained by the anticipated inflows from offshore, which actually happened, and we fully had that in the budget.
My last question to you would be about the decision by the central bank to hold the policy rate at 14.5%. You think, we talked about this a couple of days ago, and you were so certain that they were going to hold the rate at 14.5%. So, good move?
Yes, sure. They couldn't have reduced it at this time under the circumstances because we are an inflation targeting central bank, and then your inflation range is actually between 6 to 10% over the medium term. We just with a single print we have moved some 280 basis points. Up, and then now outside that target band. What an inflation targeting central bank will do will not be to cut policy rate at this time. Plus, of course, we understand that there is a need to stimulate the economy, but there could be other unorthodox ways of doing it rather than cutting the policy rate. And you can see that in the asset purchase program that they've announced, and then the stimulus to the microfinance and NBFI sector as a whole, try to target different sections of the population. And we understand that the asset purchase program is actually as a result of the extra funding need that came after the Ministry of Finance doing a second estimation of what the impact of COVID would be. So making that available effectively meant that they've suspended the zero central bank financing of the budget, which is a memorandum that is supposed to run to end of year. They've actually suspended that with the 10 billion program, trying to help government navigate this storm, as against the option of going to market, the local market, which may come at a really high cost. So for me, I think the decision is spot on. The other options of supporting the economy out of the situation, they have actually adopted unorthodox measures to do that. Within their arsenal of monetary policy tools.
Thank you so much. Courage Boti is an economist. Thanks for your perspective this afternoon.